Hey Garth, how you doing?
Hey, Jason, good to see you, my friend. Good to see
Yeah,
you as always.
yeah, it's a good day here. Garth, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite animated film, TV show, cartoon? What animation? What's your favorite?
Oh, wow. I am immediately brought back to my youth. He-Man, Masters of the Universe, Scooby-Doo. Like those are some pretty classics. Pretty classic films. I'm kind of stumped because then there's like modern ones which are amazing, like Up and yeah. Geez. I don't know. Let's go with Up.
Okay, and I've been in Inside Out with my boys over
Yeah.
the last while. We've talked about
Nice.
previously in the podcast. There's a character on there called Joy, and I wonder how joy connects to positivity. But for our listeners, you do a magical job of bringing in Winnie the Pooh in this
Mm,
podcast, and I can't wait for people to hear your description. This is
yeah.
it's absolute magic, Earth.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, this is a great episode talking about positivity and positivity sometimes is interpreted as like rah rah, go go, we're the
Yeah,
best, here we go, you've got this. And I do a lot of sports, and the worst thing you can say is you're almost there. It's like that is not. Yeah, so a friend of mine, Sean, is like his sign on this for marathons is you're on your way, which I
well,
love, right? It's just
that's
I
positive.
am. I'm on my way. I'm not almost
Yeah,
there. I'm on my way.
it's positive.
But yeah, and of course, the Tao of Pooh, the Day of Piglet. Those are fundamental texts in my life. So yeah. What about you, Jason?
Fundamental. Oh,
What about?
I think those are my fundamental tests as
Yeah,
well. We've never talked about it before, but
yeah,
they made a part of my syllabus in my master's degree, and I couldn't believe they were leadership books, but they had a massive impact. So I hope that people enjoy this episode, and if they love it, they should go out and get one or both of those books and sit down, and maybe take 15 minutes and soak it all in.
yeah. We've got some great questions from listeners that really guide this podcast. So we hope you enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy the show.
With Garth and Jason, we dive right in, breaking down Ted's world. Let's begin from AFC Richmond's field to your day to day. Lassoing leadership's here to stay. Keep leading the lasso way. Together we'll grow stronger every day. So plug in your headphones and let's start the show. With lessons from Ted, we'll learn and grow.
Hi, folks, and welcome back to Lassoing Leadership. I'm Garth Nichols.
And I'm Jason Rogers.
And this is episode 3 of our second triad of podcasts on the leadership theme of positivity. Jason, I'm trying to figure out the best way to name these things. Cadence, triad. I'm not sure I'm doing a good job. But anyway, this is the episode 3. We're wrapping up positivity.
And last week, Garth was like a shot of vitamin B and vitamin D all in one. Julie was an amazing guest. I hope our listeners loved listening to her.
Yeah, she was great. She was so positive, but also took a very realistic approach to leading with positivity. So it was very well balanced.
I think that's what we're finding in some of these podcasts, whether it's Julie or otherwise. There's a balance to the positivity in leadership, and I think even in Ted Lasso, we saw that throughout the series. Right, he wasn't all sunshine and rainbows from
Yeah.
start to finish with his team or with himself. So back to Julie's episode, Garth, what stood out for you about what she said as you've been reflecting on it over the last few days?
Yeah, I've been giving this a lot of thought because I just think positivity is really important. You and I have spoken about this before in season 1 of our podcast, but as we were speaking with her, a few things rolled into one. So can I take a minute to explain myself?
Please do. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, so she said that we need to lead with the heart. And she
Mm-hmm.
said that language is a way of reframing ourselves, our stories, even the challenges that we're facing. And she said it's unrealistic to be positive all the time. And so for me, this is something near and dear to my heart. This is about how are we behaving in a way that is sustainable as a leader? That's where I'm thinking.
I like where you're headed with this, Garth, because I think leadership is really a marathon. We can't do this in sprints, and I think we have to create habits that allow us to sustain ourselves. I really like the way you're headed. Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we take these things of like leading with the heart, language and then that it's unrealistic to be positive all the time, I've kind of landed on a term which I refer to as like seasoned positivity.
Seasoned positivity, like the
Yeah.
seasons of the year, Garth?
No, seasoned as in like you have experience and expertise over time.
Ah, I like that.
Yeah.
I love it when a situation can be reframed, and I think that's nicely done.
Yeah. So I think we need to lead with the heart. We need to be mindful of our language, but we also need to know when real talk is required. There is no handbook. I don't think there's a handbook for leadership necessarily. So positivity is just another tool in our toolkit. It's a disposition that can be deployed to lead well and in a good way. And I think we got to be really careful about it. We'll talk a little bit more about this later, but well, maybe it is like a seasoning. We got to sprinkle the pepper a little bit, right? Lighten things up a little bit every now and then. But it's not to be just cover the dish in seasoning. Then you lose the taste of the meat. If you know what I mean?
Just right. You need it to be just right.
Yeah.
But if you're positive and reframing everything in a positive way, it could be detrimental to your leadership and your organization if you over salt it.
Yes. Yeah. So you need to be authentic whenever possible, and not like naive positivity, but seasoned positivity. So anyway, that's what I was thinking about it. What did you get from the conversation with Julie?
Well, for me, Garth, it was about being curious enough to ask the questions, right? I think Julie brought up hypnotism, and I think we both stepped back from that and wondered exactly what that was. I've seen a lot of entertainers who are also hypnotists, and I wondered if it was like that, but it wasn't. I think it's more about, back to some of the stuff you're saying about mindset and reframing the way we think. And whether it's getting up in the morning and doing a meditation or having an affirmation, or it's partway through the day taking some time to breathe. And there's a great book out there called Breath, and just talks about the power of breathing in the middle of days, taking time to bring in the oxygen and reframe your day. So for me, it was just getting curious about that and how we can use mindset to improve our practice and perhaps to keep ourselves more positive during challenging times in leadership.
Yeah, I'm reminded of our episode with Danny Bauer. He led us through a bit of a breathing exercise as well. And there's there's all these different apps. I think the power of leadership, or I shouldn't say power, but the secret sauce of leadership is recognizing when to take these breaths, when to take these recharge moments, when to try something like hypnosis, when to try something new, just to remind yourself, or just to break habits or break out of the story that you are continually telling about yourself. That's something Julie talked about, which I really appreciated that too.
Garth, I don't think we take the time. Like, I don't know about you, but when was the last time you took 15 minutes in the middle of your workday and, really took a pause, focused on your breathing and meditate? And maybe what would that do for the rest of your disposition in that day or that week or in your leadership overall? Maybe that's a leadership challenge, Garth. Take 15 minutes off and take a breath. How about?
Yeah. And before we were on this call, you and I were chatting about, you did some office cleanup lately, and I said, what? And you said you put on some records, and it's, what did you listen to? And you were talking about Josh Ritter. But I'm going to answer your question. The last time I took sort of 15 minutes was on Friday morning, because I had a big day ahead of me. And what I did was I just I had driven to work, and I just pushed my seat back a little bit, and I listened to 3 songs that I know I would enjoy, 3 songs that wouldn't hype me up, 3 songs that would bring me down a little bit, like my heart rate down, just bring my systolic system down a little bit. And that was on Friday, and I should do that more often. There you go, leadership challenge.
Yeah, but you can't leave us. What were the songs, Garth? Just let us know. What do you listen to?
Oh, geez, on that morning, it was Coming Back to Life by Pink Floyd. And I'll have to look it up. I can't remember. Home by Talking Heads.
Yeah.
That one I listened to as well.
And it reminds me too of a podcast I listened to recently. It's called Smartless. Many of our listeners have listened to them. They had Laura Lindley on a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
And she closed off the podcast by saying every morning she spends 10 minutes just listening to classical music, and it helps her reframe and reorganize her thoughts and really gets in tune with who she is. So, a little throw to the folks over there at Smartless.
Nice.
Great podcast, and back to listening to music to help yourself calm down and get into that space. But I think it's time. Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
Garth.
For those Talking Head fans out there, it's This Must Be the Place. Sorry, that was the name of the song. Anyway, listen, great time for listener questions. Did we have any take up from the Leadership Challenge? What's one thing you might burn or let go of to be more positive?
Yeah, we sure did. I've had a few people reach out to me and talk about, doing things better, not doing more things, and I think that's
nice.
Certainly a theme in our school right now. We talk an awful lot about how do we do things better and not add more to our plate. And I think that Leadership Challenge did spur a few people to continue to think that way, which was super positive around here.
Yeah. Less is more, slow down to speed up. What about questions? Did we get any questions?
We had a couple questions this week, which I'm super excited about. First one is from Keith Vandermeer. You may remember him from season 1 as well, but he was nice enough to call in with a question. He's principal of Foothill School in Lethbridge, Alberta. And why don't we throw to that question?
Hey, Garth and Jason. Really appreciate the opportunity to ask a question on the show. Just wondering, with all the positives of positive school leadership, what are some of the pitfalls?
Okay, Garth, there you have it. Keith wants to know about the pitfalls in positivity. What comes to mind first for you?
Well, for me, and then I'll throw it back to you. Just going back to what Julie was talking about, we might have these blind spots in our positions of leadership where we lose touch with what's happening around us and lose touch that people are working very hard, having a tough time. So I think that if we are overly positive, if we are emphasizing too much how well things are going, people might not feel seen, might not feel heard, and that sort of extends a bit of a gap or a bit of a distance between you and your team. So yeah, these sort of privileged blind spots, and then this not necessarily toxic positivity, but just being too positive so that you're out of touch. I think those are two things. What about you, Jason?
Well, I think about it like this, first of all, it takes a lot of energy to be positive all the time, particularly when you yourself are dealing with stress. So I think you have to guard your energy and you have to, be real with yourself and make sure you take care of yourself. Otherwise, that positivity, I think, can drain down your overall leadership reservoir, if you will. The other that I really think about is if we are positive all the time, we can be seen as not being objective. And I think sometimes in our work, we have to be objective, whether it's with our board of directors or parents. Sometimes everything isn't positive. And I think we have to put that lens on it where, things aren't perfect. Here's the data. And here's the way we're going to be, solution focused in this. And that's where the positivity can come from. But I think sometimes leading out with realism is really important. And sometimes realism doesn't lend itself to positivity because the world just isn't a perfectly positive place. Neither are situations we're dealing with. So I think we need to avoid taking on this positive lens in all instances, one, to protect our energy, and two, to portray a realistic view of the world and our leadership.
Yeah, I would also add something again that Julie was really put us in touch with, which was that you have to lead with the heart. And so, in order to lead authentically with positivity, with seasoned positivity, if you will, you have to be in touch with yourself, and that's why things like meditation, listening to music, or even hypnosis, these things help you get in touch with your authentic self. Because I really appreciate what you're saying, Jason, that sometimes it's performative, sometimes it takes a lot of energy. So how are you guarding your own energy? So thank you for that.
You got it. Garth, did you get any other questions in?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we also have another one. This comes from an old colleague and longtime friend of mine, Andy Rodford.
Right on.
I met Andy when we worked together at Brentwood College School many moons ago, but he's now venture gained consulting. He lives in Victoria, BC. And he has a great question. So let's cut to that question now.
Hi, Garth and Jason. Here's a question that I hear regularly in my consulting practice. How does positivity from leaders contribute to fostering trust, innovation, creativity, and open communication among team members who often have diverse personalities, working styles, and priorities?
Okay. So there are really, I think, Jason, two questions in this one. The first one is, how does positivity build trust, creativity, innovation, and open communication? And there's a second one. How do you do this differently across an organization with so many different working styles and personalities? So what do you got?
Well, let me take the second one, then I'll let you jump to the first one, Garth.
Okay.
I think it comes down to understanding who you're working with. I think if you have an overtly pessimistic colleague coming in and you are, extraordinarily positive, I think you're going to run into problems. So I think it's like, it comes back to connecting with the heart, connecting with people where they're at. And as leaders, I think it's our job to come to the people we're working with, not to have them come to us. And I think, the idea of leading from the top down would have the leader situated in a place where all the followers are coming to them. Whereas when you're leading from the heart, or you're leading in a servitude type of way, you're first checking in with those people. And I think that's the answer to Andy's second part of the question is, how do you connect across organization with so many people who have different working styles and priorities? I think you connect by connecting, frankly. You just get to where they're at and you take that responsibility on yourself as a leader. So
yeah, and I think of like Ted in the locker room, his different relationships with many other people. And I think immediately to the books that he gave out, right?
Right.
Here's a gesture for everybody, but these books are specifically for you. This is how I know you. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does the question bring up for you, Garth?
Yeah, I think positivity is key. I mean, innovation is in my title, and you have to build positive momentum. You have to guard against those challenges and those no's. So I think that's absolutely important. And so for me, there's two words that come to mind. You have to build the belief in your team that innovation, creativity is meaningful, purposeful, intentional, and adds value. I think that's really important. And the second one is that you have to build the capacity in your team. So this for me comes out as belonging, right? Innovation is seen as someone who as a team, or as a sort of motivation force in an organization that seem to disrupt. But you still have to build an essence of belonging. And so I always go back to Winnie the Pooh, the Tao of Pooh, the Day of Piglet.
Oh, great books.
There's a great quotation in here. And I think that not necessarily reading the quotation, but having this quotation in mind and supporting your people in this way is critical. So making sure that they understand that their capacity is greater than what they believe. So you are braver than you believe, you are stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and loved more than you know. And I think that if you can bring across messages that reinforce that in your team, it builds a sense of belonging. It builds a sense of sort of that psychological safety, which we've talked about before. And that psychological safety means that people are more willing to take risks. Can I share a quick anecdote?
Oh, Garth, you keep going. This is fire. Go for it.
I want to remind our listeners from a couple episodes ago about I talked about a wrench on a Navy aircraft carrier. And I've just returned from Colombia with some students, and I said that same analogy to them. And that was one way to create psychological safety, to come to like me or my trip leader and say, I'm not feeling well. I don't want to let down the team, but I'm not feeling well. Because these errors, these mistakes, the ways that we're feeling, maybe not up to 100%, these are things that we can actually solve or actually support in the moment before it becomes a problem down the road. And when you build belonging, you build that psychological safety, and that's all about positivity.
Yeah, Garth, I think, in the culture code, Dan Coyle talks a little bit about what you're talking about. And he just says, hug the messenger. And I think this is a positive leadership approach too. You have to dig deep sometimes when you hear something you don't want to hear is not going the right way. But you get massive buy-in from your team when you don't shoot the messenger, you hug them, and you use that to improve your overall organization. I think that's positive leadership 101.
Yeah. So Keith and Andy, thanks so much for the questions. We had a couple more, but we don't have time to get to them. So just a reminder, submit your questions to lassoingleadership@gmail.com or through LinkedIn, Spotify, Instagram, all those great things. Our next podcast will be on the theme number 3 of the season. Wow, we're just like firing through these. Jason, what is our third theme?
Yeah, I can't wait for this one because I think it's instrumental to all leadership. Our theme is near and dear to my heart, and it is building relationships.
Yeah, it'll be great. And we've got another great guest lined up too, which is going to be awesome. So start thinking about how you might build relationships. We've talked a little bit about some resources here. I do think there's a couple episodes of Ted Lasso that are amazing with this. But Jason, anything off the top of your head about building relationships? Any resources you're looking at?
I think I'm going to save them, Garth, because I think people have their plates full right now. Go back and watch Lasso. How about that? That's relationship building 101.
There you go. All right, that's a wrap. Thanks for listening, everyone. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Jason, lead us out.
Until next time, keep leading the Lasso way.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Step up to the mic. It's time to play Lassoing Leadership every day. From the pitch to the boardroom, lessons call to mind. Keep leading the lasso way. You'll find we've got heart, we've got soul, and humor too. Exploring how TED shows what leaders should do. With Garth and Jason, we dive right in, breaking down Ted's world. Let's begin from AFC, Richmond's field to your day-to-day. Lassoing leadership's here to stay. Keep leading the lasso way. Together we'll grow stronger every day. So plug in your headphones and let's start the show. With lessons from Ted we'll learn.